Hi guys. So I've just done a video on this Photoshop fail of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, when she released a photo on Mother's Day. And it was pulled by various newspapers. I've done a video on that, so go check my channel because there is a video where I've put my opinion on that and people's opinions and blah, blah, blah. So just as I was like uploading the video, I see this article on Newsweek, and I've actually first saw it on another article. And I saw it on YouTube, and then now I've just obviously come across it on Newsweek, and it's on various other outlets as well. And it basically says that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they speak out about Kate Middleton's photo. Now, when I first saw that headline, I was like, excuse me? I was like, how petty if they're going to try and grab this opportunity. And why are they speaking out? Like they want to speak out about everything. They've got a voice. They've got this spokesperson that they appointed, and they speak out about everything. But when there's things that are actually quite important, they don't want to speak out. So when Omid Scobie did his book, Endgame, they don't want to speak out. When Omid Scobie did his book and he named Charles and Catherine as the alleged people who made comments about Archie's skin color, did they speak out? No. So now on this ridiculous issue of a photo, they speak out. When I read through the article or actually listened to some of these other videos on it, it's actually a bit more nuanced than that. And I can understand why they have spoken out through their spokesperson. So essentially what's happened is, we know the issue about the Wales is releasing this photo on Mother's Day, and there being some allegations that it's been manipulated. And what's happened is a source on page 6, which is this magazine or tabloid or whatever in America. So it says here that a story appeared in page 6, the Post's gossip column, I mean, for God's sake, quoting sources close to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry saying, "This isn't a mistake that Meghan would ever make. She has a keen eye and a freakish attention to detail." So you can see my tone, because this is so bitchy and petty and nasty. And frankly, it's mentioned as a source close to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. So that alone is just it's so typical, it's so predictive, it's so predictable, it's so ridiculous, it's so petty, it's so bitchy, and it's like trying to kick her when she's down. So much for feminism and women empowerment, and they would have just been better just staying out of this and staying quiet. But however, when you read on, it says here also that page 6, the source told page 6, also suggested, sorry, that if Harry and Meghan had ever encountered the same issue, they would have been annihilated, and added, the same rules do not apply to both couples. Now, I've addressed that issue in my previous video, because I think actually that I think that the Wales sisters have been criticised quite hugely, and I don't think they've got away with this. I don't think that there's been some different treatment between Harry and Meghan and William and Kate, because people are talking about lack of trusting William and Kate. They're gunning their advisors. They are demanding an apology. They have demanded an explanation. People have demanded to see the original photo. People are really going for it. So I don't see what other people are seeing when there seems to be this perception that they are sort of not like this. People are sort of brushing it under the carpet, and if it was Harry and Meghan, they would be annihilated. Like, I don't see that, because I see a lot coming down on William and Kate, and I think it's really unnecessary. It's my opinion. And there have been photos of Meghan and Harry, and again, I've mentioned this in my previous video. There have been photos that have been released of them where people have alleged that there's been Photoshop. You know, the one where like Harry has no hair and then all of a sudden he's got hair on the top of his head. And Meghan in a video like looks flawless, like she's sort of 10 years younger. And it may not have been their photo, like that they released on Instagram, and it may have been the source. So, like if it was a magazine or something like that, like the Times 100 or whatever, that may have photoshopped some photos or whatever. So it may not have been directly them, although there was obviously that TED video where she spoke for her friend, where she looked like, people were saying, oh my God, she had surgery, like her face was so streamlined. That probably was a filter, but whatever. So what I'm saying is they're not like innocent, like, oh my God, they've never touched their photos. She's got such an attention to detail. It's never happened to her. Like as though they've never touched their photos. And then what it says here, so going back to Harry and Meghan. So if we just took this source, you'd be like, oh my God, this is so petty. This is a source. This is somebody who knows Harry and Meghan. They've come out and they've spoken. They've obviously spoken on their behalf. Meghan, doesn't let people, or people who are close to them would have always got their permission and their knowledge that they would speak out about them, because Meghan's just known for thrusting people and cutting people off and cutting people out whenever she feels a little bit slighted by them, or a lot slighted. She will just cut people out of her life because she obviously wants to protect her life with Harry, her position, her power, her privilege, her lifestyle, her family, and indeed whatever narrative of life she is trying to portray to Harry and to the public and her brand, etc. So anybody that is quite negative, or anybody from the past that might come up with some negativity or whatever, she just like locks off, in my opinion. So in my opinion, I would believe that if a close friend was to speak out on their behalf, that close friend would have their permission or their knowledge. So it would seem a bit bizarre that this random person has spoken out. But I have to give them the benefit of the doubt, because their spokesperson, so a spokesperson from the couple's Archwell Foundation, told Newsweek, with respect to page 6, that did not come from us. So, okay, take it as it is, right? There's been something that's been said, it's been quite petty, and they've come out and distanced themselves and said, that's not from us. That's nothing to do with us. They've distanced themselves. If I take that with a pinch of salt, if I take that at face value, okay, good on you. I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you distanced yourself. So great. You sort of pick and choose what you speak out about. So fine. But yeah, there is this cynical in me that says, where did this source come from? I mean, are they known for having sources that just randomly say things that are not true about them? Or maybe this is a source that they didn't necessarily, because my personal view is that Meghan kind of gaslights people to come out and have her back and say things about her, or reveal things that she has said, but she doesn't actually say much. If you think like directly from her, she doesn't actually say much, so that she can then, if the kind of crap hits the fan, she can step back and be like, I didn't say that, I didn't authorize that, I didn't, you know what I mean? And so it's often a friend, a source, Omid Scobie, blah, 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 or Harry. It's often these people that come out and say things, right? So for example, Harry saying, my wife didn't use the word racist. Did she use the word racist? She didn't say that. But like, she hasn't come out and said anything. She hasn't come out and said, oh no, I didn't mean racism. I meant unconscious bias. And then if you go back to the interview, she doesn't say anything. It's Oprah that says, are you saying that, he was XXX because of the color of his skin? And then she's like, well, I didn't follow up with the conversation, but if that's an assumption that you wish to make, I would say that's a safe assumption. So it's basically, if you're saying that, then I would say that. So she's so careful in like not coming out and saying these things. That's media training right there. That is like LA Hollywood media training. And there are times where you see she gets a bit flustered, she gets a bit frustrated, she gets a bit passionate about things, and she does come out and say stuff where you're like when she did that cut interview and she was just saying so much stuff that you're like, God, what? So she does sometimes kind of let go, but most often than not, I think she's quite controlled. And then what happens is other people start saying stuff. So Omid Scobie mentions, Charles and Catherine. She can step back and be like, I didn't say anything. And then if she does start talking about it, she can be like, well, it wasn't me who released it. It was Omid Scobie. I didn't release it to the public, but now I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to clarify it. I didn't say to Harry that it was, unconscious bias. It was racism. It was this. I do feel that. Or the other way, I didn't say it was racism in the Oprah interview. That's what she suggested. I didn't use the word. You know what I mean? So it's crazy because she just doesn't leave, any mess lying around. So good for her, frankly, because that's a skill. Because everyone around her, in my view, they speak for her and they speak on her behalf. So I would not be surprised if her friend was like, in my personal view, this girl does not like Catherine, and anything to go for Catherine's image, she will go for. So it's almost like this petty time to come out and speak and take advantage of the fact that Catherine is like, everyone's coming for her. In my view, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if she was like nudge, nudge to a friend. Oh, if this was me, I would have never done this, or we would have been annihilated in the press. And then I'm not surprised if the friend then went and was like, yeah, this would have never happened to Meghan. They would have been annihilated. Da, 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 da. But it's not necessarily her saying, go and say this. It's just creating this sort of situation where then the friend goes and speaks to someone. Because the friend hasn't said, Meghan said. No, she hasn't. The friend's just given an opinion, given her own opinion. So then, of course, Harry and Meghan are able to distance themselves and say, didn't come from us, because it didn't come from you. You didn't say anything. So all this Harry and Meghan answer, blah, 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 speak out. It's nonsense. They didn't say anything to Page Six, but what they are doing is distancing themselves so that it protects their brand, so they don't look petty, so it doesn't look like it came from them. But if this is your friends, then your friends, in my view, do not go speaking to publications without any sort of knowledge or your consent or your knowledge or any knowledge of what's been said or what you think. And I think that, Meghan and Harry, Meghan's always like the glory, and Harry's always just like the yes man, oh, my wife is amazing, my wife is this, my wife is that, she can't do anything wrong. She sang so beautifully to the seals, and her curtsy to the Queen for the first time she met her was perfection, whatever. Everything she does is just perfection. She's perfect, she's perfect, she's perfect, she's amazing. And so Meghan just sits on this kind of pedestal and he just adores her. And so maybe he did think this would never happen to her. She has like such an attention to detail, freakishly, like, what was the word? Freakish attention to detail. She has a keen eye, and that's no doubt something that the friend would have said, because everyone is like, yes man, she's amazing. And so I would not be surprised if that source had a little connection with them, but they didn't necessarily tell her to go and do that. And now, to protect themselves, because it just looks so petty, they've got to say, oh, nothing to do with us, and distance themselves. But, I'm going to take this at face value, and I'm going to say that they used that very little amount of time that they have, and this spokesperson who's getting paid God knows what, and they asked him or her to say, this is nothing to do with us. I'm just going to take that as what it is at face value. So thank you for speaking out. And it says here, it is, of course, possible the quotes came from someone connected to the Sussexes expressing personal opinion who was not officially authorised to speak on their behalf. Okay. Kate's photo editing has plunged Kensington Palace in a major reputational crisis, with trust in the institution as a reliable source of information at risk. I mean, just reading that ridiculous sentence alone just shows you how dumb it is that people are saying, oh, if it was Harry and Meghan, oh my God, they would have been annihilated. What do you think is happening here? What do you think is happening? We've got one person here, this reporter, saying William and Kate, are warned to come clean about what's really going on, or risk drowning in a quagmire of their own making. Are you serious? And you've got another reporter, another editor, took a swipe at Prince William for letting Kate take the fall when he took the photograph. And he says it is disgraceful. It is very ungentlemanly of Prince William to put the onus on her. For God's sake, he's the one that took the photo. And the officials made it public, then gave it out. It's their job. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that they've said to her, go on, explain what you did. No, it's your job. Take some responsibility. Now, okay, I am putting a little bit of my own energy behind this, but just look at the wording. They're going at the advisors. They're attacking Prince William ungentlemanly of Prince William, putting the onus on her, talking about warning them that they need to come clean of what's really going on. I mean, oh my God, Kensington Palace into a major reputational crisis with their trust as a reliable source of information at risk. I mean, have they really, when have they spoken like that about Meghan and Harry and their office? Like, seriously. Anyway, and if anything, it would be, in my view, they've been criticised, and so have Harry and Meghan. William and Kate have been criticised, and so have Harry and Meghan. Like, that's probably where I put it. I don't want to go into this whole who has had it worse. I think they've both been criticised. I don't understand. I don't understand this like comparison between them. Why are we comparing them? It's so ridiculous. They're both like, okay, they're family, but they're both in two different entire positions. We've got a completely different responsibility for and expectation for Kate and William because of their job and their position, and then a completely different expectation from Meghan and Harry because of their job and their position. They're private people, they're commercial entities, they're a brand. It's like completely different. Anyway, that's that. So this is some nonsense. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And, I'm going to give Harry and Meghan the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say thank you for distancing yourself, because this is obviously quite a difficult time for William and Kate for various reasons. Okay, guys. See you later.